part of the Sky Sports telecast for Mayweather McGregor. Very excited to talk to him. There he is, the one and only, the outlaw, Dan Hardy. Dan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I like this. One British legend to the next. And I'm very excited to talk to you. We have a lot to discuss. But first off, congratulations on this big news. How long were you in the running for this? This is massive. What an honor this is for you. How long were you actually in the running for it?
I had no idea about it. I guess the negotiation was going back and forth between Sky and a few of the broadcasters as to who was going to run the pay-per-view in Europe. And I guess Sky got it, and they moved very quickly on it. They called me on that same day and asked me to speak to Sky News about it and about my thoughts on the event. And then, you know, I guess they were surprised at the reaction from the MMA community because, you know, the fans have been great to support me in this. And I think that Sky just kind of went, well, it makes sense to bring this guy in and try and balance the broadcast a little bit.
Wow. Okay, so what is the team? It's you, Carl Froch, right?
Yeah. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it's going to be Adam Smith or Johnny Nelson, or I'm not sure. There's a few great guys within the Sky Sports boxing team. So I don't know. I'm happy to be working by Carl Froch though. We used to work out on bags by the side of each other in the gym. So
oh wow,
you know, the old Nottingham connection in the same place.
That is right. Yes, I forgot about the Nottingham connection. And we had Pat Miletich on the show a couple weeks ago. He's going to be a part of the Showtime broadcast, but not in the booth, so to speak. I think he's going to be, you know, pre-fight, post-fight. Are you actually in the booth? Will you be calling the action as an analyst?
As far as I know, yes. As far as I know, I've got a full week. I get into Vegas on Sunday, and I'm recording stuff every day from Monday throughout fight week. Obviously, it's a huge event, and we've got to cover it righteously. So I'm going to be working my ass off the whole week.
Would you say that this is, you know, the biggest opportunity of your career? At least, I mean, maybe not as a fighter, you fought for the belt, but like TV work, things of that nature. Does this feel different inside? Not to take anything away from the UFC gigs, but as Brad Pickett just said, I mean, this could be the biggest event of our lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, this is a one-off kind of situation. I can't imagine two other athletes in any other sport that would come together to compete in an event like this that would you know, be of this magnitude. So it's a bit surreal. It's kind of a step out of the real world, and to be honest, I have quite a surreal life as it is anyway with the UFC. So I'm just kind of overwhelmed and excited to be there. You know, just to be in Vegas and to be a part of it and to experience everything that's going on and to be, you know, to be able to have a voice within it as well is pretty special.
Are you going to be wearing a tuxedo? Are we going like full traditional boxing with this?
You know what? I hadn't thought about it, but now you've mentioned it, I feel like I might have to break the tuxedo out again.
Well, you could talk to your friend John Gooden. He's got plenty of them. I don't know if you're the same size, of course.
No, the vegan diet keeps him nice and slim. Right. So he rocks a bow tie like nobody else.
So this is the fascinating thing about it, and I noted this when the fight was first announced. I was asked to do all these radio shows. You know, everyone wants to talk about this, even the mainstream sports media here in the United States. And it was kind of frustrating because I felt like I was either being asked to defend the fight or shame the fight. I couldn't just talk about the fight. Like people were almost like coming at me, like, why is this happening? And how could this happen? And he has no business, and like with vitriol about this matchup. And now you're in this interesting spot where you're the MMA voice on this broadcast. You're the representative for the entire sport. But I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you just want to call the action. But of course you're coming in because you know Conor even from pre-UFC days and things like that. How do you balance? You're in there, of course, because you're the MMA guy. You're the voice of the community. You're beloved by the community. But you also probably just want to call the action and call it for what it is. How do you balance those two roles of just being that sort of unbiased guy, but also being the MMA guy?
It's a good question. To be honest, I'm there for combat sports. You know, I'm a big boxing fan. I followed Floyd Mayweather's career. You know, I've followed a lot of different boxers in the past as well, been inspired by many. Obviously, you know, Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn were big inspirations for me, as was Ricky Hatton. So obviously I followed the build up to that Mayweather fight very closely and was rather disappointed with the result. But, you know, I love boxing as much as I love MMA, to be honest. I prefer MMA because I want to explore the full skill set. This is interesting because we're taking somebody out of the full skill set and putting them into a refined skill set against the best in that refined skill set. So I'm just there to try and be objective about it from a combat sports perspective, to take from all of my knowledge of working with and alongside boxers in the past, all the way through my Thai boxing, my K1 career, and then into mixed martial arts. Because I have a wider spread knowledge, I just feel like I can speak from a slightly different perspective of, say, Carl Froch, who speaks from the strict boxing perspective of a world champion, which obviously is experience that I don't have.
If you had Conor's ear, if you could spend a week with him, if they brought you in as a special coach, in your opinion, what is the path to beating Floyd, who has never lost before, who has never even been knocked down? How does he pull this off?
Well, I like to reverse engineer things. What I always used to do with my career, I always used to watch my opponent's fights and take all of the knowledge that I needed from them. And then I used to go and watch my own fights and see how I would approach myself as an opponent. And that was usually what I would build my game plan on. So if I'm Conor McGregor, I'm looking at Floyd Mayweather and thinking, he's used to fighting people that are stepping into a Mayweather promotion, walk into the biggest fight of their life against the best boxer of their time. And they've never been in that environment before. They've never had to thrive under that kind of lights and that kind of attention. And I think that when this contract was first signed, I don't think that Floyd Mayweather really anticipated what Conor McGregor was as a promotional beast, because he is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, the press tour alone was the shift in balance, because I think all of a sudden Mayweather realized that Conor wasn't going to be startled by being a part of this huge event, which means that that's the first game plan out of the window, because you can't rely on that adrenaline dump then. Now, Conor handles pressure very well, as we've seen in the past. And what I would expect Floyd to expect from Conor is a fast-paced, aggressive 4 rounds. He's going to try and come and knock him out as quickly as possible. And I think that Floyd feels that Conor has a reputation and a responsibility to come out aggressive and to fight aggressively and to try and land those big power shots. So I would go the opposite way. And I would say, look, at least the first 2 or 3 rounds, take the center of the ring. But you know that Floyd's not going to be the aggressor, because that's not how he fights anymore. Not since he was Pretty Boy. Now he's money. He fights defensively. He fights smart. He studies and he reads his opponent. So allow him to, but don't give him too much. If he's expecting Conor to come running out of the gate, then don't do that. That puts Floyd on edge a little bit, because now you're cutting down the window of opportunity for him to find his way into the fight in the later rounds. He'll marginally outpoint you in the first few rounds, but then he starts to rack up the points in the later rounds. So he looks so much more dominant, because he relies on people dropping off, exactly like he did against fighters like Maidana. So I think he's expecting Conor to be very aggressive, so I would not. And then when you throw shots, just kind of work out on him like a heavy bag. Arms, shoulders, gloves, anything that you can hit, because that will slowly wear him down. And, I think Conor's right in the way that he's picking at Floyd. He is an older man. I think there is some acceptance of the fact that he is not the physical athlete that he used to be, and Conor is. So that kind of balances it out a little bit for me.
Do you believe Floyd when he says, oh, I owe the fans for the Pacquiao fight, I'm going to come at him, I'm going to go forward, it's going to be a firefight, all this stuff? Do you believe him when he says that, or no?
No. It's like all this nonsense about the 8-ounce gloves.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that.
He knows that. Yeah, he knows that the process in which he would have to go to get the 8-ounce gloves approved is far too strenuous at this point in the build-up to the fight. All that is doing is it's teasing Conor with the idea that Floyd's coming for a fight, because he wants Conor to be fired up when he walks out. It's all the psychological tactics that Floyd uses. The difference in this fight is that normally that first game plan that he sets out with in the build-up, it usually works. It usually works very well, because he's got this promotional monster behind him, which is, Mayweather Promotions. So I think he's having to now start to adapt his own tactics of psychological warfare, and I think that that's it. The thing, when I was growing up, the tough guy sport was boxing, because there wasn't anything tougher than that. All the tough guys went to boxing. Yeah, I'm a boxer. You're a tough guy. When MMA came about, that kind of crossed over to the MMA guys, because the reality is that in a fight, the MMA guy wins, because we have a grasp of the full skill set. So that's taken a lot of the strength away from Floyd's swagger in this fight, where he walks in as the toughest guy and as the best guy. Because at the end of the day, like Brad was saying, what a beautiful analogy as well. If they're fighting over a pig, Conor gets the ham sandwich. It's true.
So you don't think that the commission will approve the 8 ounces?
It's not that I don't think the commission will approve the 8 ounces. I think that there's the process, if I understand it correctly, is that both teams have to go in front of the commission and express why they think the 8-ounce gloves are more appropriate. I'm sure that Conor would take a morning off training to go and get that done, because why not?
Yeah.
I just don't think Floyd would show up, you know?
So last week I was in Vegas for the media work. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. He was hitting the bag in 14-ounce gloves at the open workout. So,
right.
You know what I mean? Why is he going to want to 8s when we know he's got hand problems since, 30 fights ago? Anyway, sorry, carry on.
So that my next question was about those open workouts. You watched the footage, or at least some of it, of both of them?
Mm-hmm.
People have, so like when I was tweeting a couple pictures of Conor working the bag, working out, getting loose, and all these people, like people that don't even follow me, I see saying like, look at this, laughing at him, mocking him. We had Heather Hardy here, who's 20-0 as a boxer, multiple-time champion, openly laughing at Conor. What did you see? I mean, to me, it's not so crazy to A, try to get people to think he doesn't know what he's doing, and B, be completely unconventional. That's what this whole thing is. This defies the logic of boxing matchmaking. Why are people mocking him? Is this mocking worthy? Are they missing the point? Is he trolling them? What was your takeaway when you were watching this?
I think people have to step into Conor's shoes. Like if you were a couple of weeks out from the biggest fight of your career and you were fighting a masterful boxer, you've got to think that you're working out in the bag with him standing in the gym next to you. What are you going to do? You're not going to look like a beast in the gym. You're not going to have a crazy workout. You're not going to show all your tactics and all your best moves. You're probably going to have your hands up. I mean, the stuff he was doing was flamboyant. It was bravado. It was show. It's exactly what you would expect from an open workout. You've got to think that Floyd Mayweather's in the same room, because you're damn sure he's going to watch it. So why would you show anything? I certainly wouldn't. Do capoeira, whatever. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you don't show what you're going to do.
Some members of his team were kind of joking with me that there was some consideration that he would just do jiu-jitsu the entire time, that he would. And could you imagine the boxing community? They would have lost their mind. Could you imagine if he got there and just grappled the entire time? I think that would have been brilliant. Why show them anything? I can't believe people are actually putting stock into that.
I thought he was going to go and play touch putt in the park with Ido. So, I mean, that would have been a better.
Now, Floyd, though, actually kind of put on a somewhat serious workout. Were you impressed? I mean, 40 years old to be doing what he's doing. Were you impressed by him or no?
Yeah, it's cruising for him, though. It's third gear, probably even less, as it was for Conor. He's doing things that are comfortable. He's not stepping outside of. There was. This will show you how obsessive I get about these things. There was one thing that stood out to me in the open workouts. Right towards the end, he was shadowboxing with weights.
Yeah.
Right towards the end, and there was a guy that kept switching weights with him. And then they passed him a medicine ball, and he was doing this thing where he's like dancing around the ring with the medicine ball, waving it up and down. There was one time he threw it to his mate, and his mate threw it back at him, and it was a horrible return. And he actually said, like, throw it to my chest. Tried it again, and he failed again. That looked like the only thing that he had not been already pre-planned in that workout.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That was the only thing that was rehearsed and that wasn't prepared for the cameras, because he abandoned it immediately and didn't pay any attention to it.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Everyone else was like, he's working within his limits very comfortably.
It's amazing. In less than 2 weeks, Conor's going to fight Floyd, and still people can't stop talking about Paul Malignaggi, and you have even gotten into it with him on Twitter. This is incredibly entertaining. You saw the footage, as short as it may be. What was your takeaway from it? Was it a knockdown? Was it a push?
I think in a boxing match it would have been classed as a knockdown. Personally, yeah, there were punches landed. He ended up on the floor. Even if it was a slip, then. No, it was a knockdown. I don't think it was a push. There was definitely a loss of balance, but I think Conor capitalized as he was losing his balance. He caught him with a nice shot. I think it would have been counted as a knockdown personally, but at the same time, I have to talk in Paulie's defense, which is probably going to surprise a lot of people.
Okay.
I was sent photos. I was sent a few photos after their first training session, which was the end of July, right? The first thing I thought to myself is, damn, Paulie didn't show up in shape. Now, I like Paulie. I think he's a great analyst. He's crossed over from boxing to analysis very, very well, and I really appreciate what he's got to say. And I do, to an extent, feel like he was brought in. He made. How do I word this correctly? He went in with good intentions. He was thinking that he was going to be brought in, maybe do a couple of rounds of sparring, watch a couple of rounds of sparring, be asked a few questions, be asked his opinion, pick his brains a little bit. He didn't look like he'd been training to go more than a couple of rounds. He just didn't. He looked kind of soft. He looked like he just didn't look like he'd been active. And interestingly, his comments on your show last week, I believe it was, he said after the first sparring session, he started training, he started running and stuff to try and prepare for the next one. So there wasn't a forethought that he was going to be put to the test, which means that I think that you thought he was going to be brought in to actually help, to actually assist within the training camp. And I don't think that was ever the intention.
Do you think that like there's some sort of, ethically that they shouldn't have posted any of this, that this was a line that was crossed, or once everything was talked about that, I know it was just a few seconds, but usually you don't see sparring footage put out before a fight.
Yeah, but if I was in a situation sparring and I didn't want there to be footage of it, then I wouldn't allow cameras in the gym.
Okay.
I mean, he opted to go into that circumstance, like we all know Paulie was a showman. Like my everlasting memory of Paulie was sitting in his corner between rounds having his hair cut. You know what I mean? Because it was all coming out. He had some braids tight. Anyway, he's a showman. He likes to be a part of what's current. And this is the perfect opportunity for him. So why would he not jump in there and be a part of Conor's camp? He would have probably gone to Floyd's camp if he was asked as well. I think one thing is a shame is, Paulie grew up in the Floyd Mayweather era. You can see a lot of ways in which he modeled himself on Floyd. So he would have been an excellent source of knowledge to bring in. I for one, and I tweeted this, I'm looking forward to sitting down with him in Vegas and really having a conversation, because he's got a sharp mind. I see a lot of parallels with his career and mine, because he didn't have anything easy. He wasn't the greatest athlete. He didn't hit very hard. I mean, I figured out how to hit hard after a while, but I was in the gym with the likes of Paul Daly, who would just touch you and people were falling over. Andre Winner, who moved like lightning. Jimmy Warled, who was like wrestling two farmers at the same time. I was the least athletic of my team, and the majority of the time in my fights. So I had to figure it out and make adaptations, and Paulie's done the same. So that's why, as he's crossed over to an analyst, that's why he's so good.
Yeah. Actually, to a certain degree, it reminds me of you, the way you think and the way you break things down. Have you ever met him?
No, I haven't. I'm looking forward to meeting him in Vegas. I understand that we're going to be working together a little bit, so I'm looking forward to picking his brain.
Well, let's break the ice. Do you want to say hello to him?
Sure, yeah.
You know I love to do this. Paulie, are you there?
I'm here, Ariel. I just got on the call. What's up, guys?
Paulie, you're talking to Dan Hardy. I know you guys have been talking to each other on Twitter. I just wanted to break the ice a little bit here.
Hey, Dan, what's up, man? I was just hearing your comments. I appreciate what you're saying. Just the one little thing, I did not know anything was going to be recorded. That was actually told to me that they were not going to record. So when I found out that he was taking pictures, I asked for the footage that I thought would only be on the surveillance cameras in the gym. I had no idea that the guys with the cameras in the gym were also recording, because nowadays this technology, the same camera that takes pictures can also record. So I had no idea they were recording, because I was told they were not going to be recording.
Right. But did you show up to the training camp expecting to go that many rounds?
No. Usually the way I expected, like a typical training camp where like I would do 4 rounds and maybe somebody else would do 4 rounds and somebody else would do 4 rounds. I expected obviously Conor to be in the better shape than everybody else, but I knew I was in about 4 to 6 round shape, when I got there the first time, because I had started just lightly training when they first called me. And I said, yeah, this will do. I don't have to be at my best because I won't be the only sparring partner there. And yeah, you're right. I did think that maybe they would also use me as a reference point to ask me questions or whatnot. Not that I expected anything. I mean, I actually made sure I said in all my interviews before I got there, I said, it's only up to them. If they want to use me to ask me questions or whatnot, I'll be glad to answer their questions and give my viewpoints. But that's totally up to them. I even gave Conor's team praise. I said, I'm sure he's got a great team. They've gotten him this far. Like if you look at all my interviews before I ever got there, that was kind of my mentality was, if they use me, they're going to be using me 4 to 6 rounds, which is what I always used any of my sparring partners. I never put any of my sparring partners in for more than 4 to 6 rounds at a time. If I needed more rounds, I would always alternate them. That way I'd get a fresh guy after 4 to 6 rounds, because once a guy can only go 4 to 6 rounds and then he's kind of gassed out, he's of no use to you anyway, So after that first time, I kind of said, all right, you know what, I need to be in better shape, because they had me do 8 right away, So I said, okay, when I go home, I've got to up the conditioning a little bit.
Yeah, it was the same. That was I was strict to my training camps as well. Fresh guys each round or every 2 rounds. And like I helped Frank Mir with one of his training camps for the McGregor fight. Oh. And he was fighting 3 rounds, so he did 6 rounds, and I was his last round. That's how it worked. We had 2 of the heavyweights that alternated in between, and that's how it was always for me in training camp as well. So I thought that was a bit strange bringing you in, but the fight came.
Dan, it's like I said, after everything was said and done, I think there was a hidden agenda there. I think there was an agenda there to try to make me look bad, maybe to try to use my name as something that would make them look more validated in any way, But they ended up shooting themselves in the foot, because now nobody went there to replace me. They called Andre Berto and he turned them down. They called Steve Forbes up, who was also an ex-boxing champion, and he turned them down. So you basically put yourself in a position where you shot yourself in the foot now, because now nobody wants to help you. You've got, the sparring partners he had there. The only decent one that was there was Deshaun Johnson, who was basically a journeyman junior middleweight, who's not a bad fighter. He's got a couple of bad breaks and whatnot, and he's tough and he does a lot of work. But and they weren't even using him at the end, So the guys he's using is like some no-name amateur, and a couple of MMA guys, where one of them, this guy Artem or something, he was like a punching bag. I thought you just might as well hit the punching bag instead of him, So I thought, I didn't think there was enough quality there for him, and especially now that I left, I really don't think there was any other quality there. I don't see how this benefits him in any way, where you're getting ready for the best fighter that ever put on boxing gloves in our sport, in boxing. In my opinion, Floyd is the most complete fighter I've ever seen. And then you're going to get this kind of work in. You're supposed to be willing to suffer in camp. And when I say willing to suffer, I don't mean willing to ride your bike the extra couple miles when you're tired. I mean willing to suffer, like have guys in there that come to kick your ass, I heard Floyd has Dab Judah. I heard he had Errol Spence in camp. These are guys that, probably beat Conor right now. Errol, without a doubt, puts Conor in the hospital, But, so in a boxing match. So you have to be willing to suffer when you're preparing for this kind of fight.
Dan, this has been a lot of fun. I could sit and listen to you guys talk all day long, but I'm going to let you go. I just have to ask before I let you go, do you have a prediction? Can you tell us who you think is going to win, or are you reserving the right because you're on the broadcast?
No, I'm not going to give a prediction. Obviously, the safe money's Mayweather by decision. That's what we'd expect. But the people counting Conor out are out of their minds. This is combat sports. You can toss a coin on some days and anything can happen. So, everyone's going to be tuned in August 26th and August 27th. We'll all be having a lot more to talk about, I'm sure.
Delighted for you that you're getting this opportunity. Congratulations. And I want to be there when you and Paulie have whatever debate or something that you're going to have in person. That will be a lot of fun. So we'll see you out in Las Vegas, Dan. Thank you for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
See you soon, Dan. Thank you, man.
Catch you later, guys.
Okay. There he is. Dan Hardy working on the Sky Sports broadcast.